So I've been meaning to respond to this comment that this person, Melly Germany 9479, left on one of my YouTube videos that was posted about 3 months ago. You can see at the top, the title of the video is "I Dare You, Zay. Show me how hardcore you are for the journey." And the video was addressed to Zay Frank, but also sort of had points that I was trying to make to the population in general. This person, Melly Germany, has been harassing me on my YouTube channel, basically stalking me on my YouTube channel for a while now, at the very least since I started posting about this pedophile network, this group of men and women that I think commit incest with their own children and pimp out their children to other members of the network, which makes me think that she's either a paid gang stalker, she's paid by these people to harass me online, or she's a member of the network. Now, I might make another video later that's more involved where I pick through her entire comment and answer it sentence for sentence, but I don't think I'll be doing that right now. What I'm going to say is this. So I believe what I was touching upon in the video itself was that, well, I've said this many times. I'll say it again. The meaning of life is to live a meaningful life. That's all there is to it. If you're all trying to figure out what it is that you're why life exists, what's the point of all of it? It's right there. I just said it to you. It's to live a meaningful life. Now, this can manifest itself in many ways. I didn't say that the only way of doing it is having a family. That's not what I was intending to say, at least. But really, the best way and the ultimate way, in my opinion, is having a family. It kind of checks all the boxes in terms of a meaningful life. Now, if you don't believe me, this woman is basically saying stuff like, I have so many friends and they've chosen not to have children or families and they're just focusing on them and they're perfectly happy. Living a happy life is not the point, dum-dum, okay? I just said it. Living a meaningful life is the point. It's not meaningful to just be happy all the time. This is not Ferris Bueller's Day Off, honey. You understand? In case you don't, so by the way, for those of you out there, because I've had this conversation with lots of people, and lots of people out there are under the illusion that they can assign meaningfulness to basically anything. No, you can't. Something has to meet certain requirements in order to qualify as meaningful. Now, I've pulled up right here the definition of meaningful. Here you go, right there in the middle. Having a serious, important, or useful quality or purpose. Serious does not imply happiness, does it? In fact, it quite implies the opposite. Now, I'm sure you can be happy and serious at the same time, but I think that's a bit harder to do, right? So in order for something to be meaningful, you don't get to just say that anything is meaningful, all right? It actually has to have purpose. It has to have a usefulness. Quite often, it has to be something that's for the greater good, even. Something that's not just selfishly for you. So if you're a chica out there, if you're a woman out there that's just like basically Sex in the City, dumb biatch, who's, I focus on my career because I need to prove to myself that I'm just as good as any man and prove to my parents that I'm, everything that they said I couldn't be. And then I'm going to go out and have drinks with the ladies and make myself look sexy and all the boys are going to look at me. And I'm going to go home feeling entitled and I'm going to go home feeling empowered. That's you. That's you on top of you and you some more. That's not meaningful. That's not serving the greater good. That's just you focusing on you and you and you and you and you. Now, when you're a mother and you have family and you have children, you're supposed to be, I'm not saying that all mothers do this. Well, really, you don't qualify as a mother. Even if you push babies out of yourself, if you don't do this, you don't qualify as a mother. All right? So what you're supposed to be doing when you have babies is you're supposed to be focusing on their well-being. You're supposed to be focusing on developing them to the best of your abilities so that you produce a better functioning, better developed future generation for our species. And therefore, you are providing a better future for our species. And by extension, also providing a better future for the entire planet as a whole. When you consider that our species is the top species on this planet, and we kind of are the deciding factor as to whether or not this planet gets run into the ground, and whether or not other species get, driven into extinction, and so on and so forth. If we have better balanced, emotionally balanced, fully functional, less selfish, less self-absorbed members of our species, of our society out there running things, we're going to just everything will do better. All right? All the way around. Now, let me make a point to you. All right? I'm going to prove it to you right now. And I'll come up with other examples of this, but the first example that jumps to mind, let's compare two women right now. Two women, one is a mother, was a mother, one was not a mother. Both are historical figures in their own right. Both made something of an impact on the world. All right? Ready? My first example will be Amelia Earhart. For those of you who don't know, Amelia Earhart was that chick who loved flying. She flew a plane around the world. She crashed and disappeared. All right. But she's this inspiration, right? That women tell to little girls, and to, they tell them, you can do anything you want. Amelia Earhart, she was told that she should just be, pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen, and she didn't listen. And she just went out and she flew planes because it was her life's dream. That's all she wanted to do. And so she did it. And then, she died doing it. And as far as I know, she didn't have any kids. She was never a mom. Right? Inspiring. She's certainly made an impact on the world, on society as a whole, on women and girls, future generations. Now let's compare her, though. Let's compare her to a mom. Ready? I'm going to give you this example, this mommy example. Adolf Hitler's mother. Yeah. Who do you think had a bigger impact on society as a whole, on future generations to come, on our entire species, on every species on this planet? Who do you think has had a bigger impact? Amelia Earhart, who flew a plane for a little bit and then died, disappeared one day, never had any kids? Or the woman who poorly raised, Adolf Hitler, who was responsible for, thus far, the biggest war this planet has ever seen, World War II, responsible for mass genocide, responsible for the murder of the deaths of millions and millions of people. He wiped entire genetic lines out. Our species no longer has access to certain DNA strands. Like, we can't mix and mingle with certain DNA anymore because they were wiped out. Like, he bottlenecked our species' genetic information to some degree. All right? He caused mass trauma to people from countries from all over the world. Americans, Russians, Germans, Italians, all over Europe, right? Families, if they weren't killed in Germany, if they weren't herded into concentration camps and tortured and killed, gassed and then put in ovens, if that didn't happen to them, well then, members of certain families were sent off to fight against he and his army, and they died and never returned. And that had mass ripple effects still to this day. Again, not just on the psychological, emotional well-being of countless human beings, but on our very DNA, like on our archive of DNA. Whole mitochondrial DNA was wiped out, right? Okay? Mitochondrial DNA that had been passed down from mother to daughter to mother to daughter for thousands of years was wiped out, wiped clean, gone. We'll never get it back. For those of you who don't know mitochondrial DNA, so there are women today walking around with the same exact mitochondrial DNA that their great grandmothers had. There are women walking around today that have carrying the same mitochondrial DNA that their female ancestors from 1,000, 2,000 years ago had, or longer than that. And we're just, passing it down. Amelia Earhart, she didn't have any kids. She didn't pass on that mitochondrial DNA. She cut that off with herself. So it is meaningful. It's far more meaningful to have children, pass along that DNA, keep the variety of DNA alive. Don't bottleneck the future of our species, the availability of DNA that we can draw from to create more human beings. Just that right there. The mother of Adolf Hitler had more of an impact. I won't say did a better job, but had more of an impact on Amelia Earhart. And let me had more of an impact on the world than Amelia Earhart. And let me tell you another thing. Amelia Earhart will be forgotten one day. There were heroes and people like her 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago that did amazing things just like her. Maybe they didn't fly in a plane, but they did amazing things. And their story was told and retold and passed down, not just verbally, not just in an oral sense, but it was written on scrolls and scripts. It was kept in the Library of Alexandria, which went up in flames, Their stories were told for only so long, and then when people forgot the stories, when the archives of their stories were burnt or destroyed, eventually they were forgotten, and now they're gone forever. We don't know these people. I'm not giving you any names because I don't know any names of these people, but certainly they existed. Certainly heroes, female heroes existed thousands of years ago that we just don't know their names. We don't know anything about them. We don't know what they did even, but we know that they existed. We know that there had to have been some badass women 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. And their story lived on for only a certain period of time, and I'm sure inspired girls and women for a certain period of time, and then it was lost to history. But there are women who were around the same time period who they didn't go out and they didn't, do some badass superwoman shit. They had a family. They settled down, they got married, they had some babies, and they passed along their mitochondrial DNA. And their mitochondrial DNA is still alive today. It's still walking around in women today. Who do you think had a bigger impact on the world, honey? Yeah, the women who chose to just settle down and have some babies. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, for sure, okay? The woman who invented Kevlar vests, bravo. And I believe there are some women out there who've done both, It's possible the woman who invented Kevlar vests is also a mom. And, even more bravo then. You did it both ways. You left your mark on society in both ways. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do you to some extent. Absolutely. In fact, I'm encouraging that because I don't want you going out and having kids until you've figured yourself out to some degree. And until you've, in so many words, sown your wild oats, until if you have other dreams and hopes besides just having babies, please go do that. Go pursue those dreams and hopes and then have the babies. I don't think that women should just be having babies. But I do think that the number one, absolute, ultimate, number one thing that you can possibly do to live out a meaningful life, to check off those boxes, which again, the point of life, the meaning of life is to live a meaningful life. That's all there is to it, right there. That means your life can't just totally be lived in selfishness. That means, to some degree, the point of your life can't just be you. It has to be for some kind of a greater good, some purpose, some usefulness that extends to other people, that extends to the world, that extends to the species. All right? And all I'm pointing out here is the best way to do that is actually to have a family, to have some babies, if you're a woman, because men can't do the things that women can do for children. They just can't. Men are not made to raise, they're not wired as well as women are to rear children properly. So ladies, if you really want to make the biggest impact you could possibly make on the world, the absolute biggest impact you could ever possibly make whilst also living a meaningful life, have some kids. Rear them to the best of your abilities. I mean, focus every bit of energy that you possibly can on developing them properly, develop them emotionally, develop them psychologically, educate them, see to their good nutrition, make sure that they grow up to be fully functional, even-keeled adults who know themselves and feel like good about themselves and feel firm in themselves, and make sure they understand certain things like the meaning of life is to live a meaningful life. All right? That's why there's childhood. Like, childhood is meant to be the time for us to just focus on us. When you become an adult, it's time to start focusing on other things besides just yourself. All right? And I feel like too many adults out there, they spend so much of their adulthood just focusing on themselves because, unfortunately, for whatever reason, usually because they had bad parents, their childhood was taken from them in so many ways. They weren't able to just focus on themselves. They had to be an emotional crutch to their own parents. That's not fair. So they couldn't focus on them. So their childhood was taken. So now they're wasting their adult years just focusing on themselves. My career. I'm going to be the prettiest girl in the room. And it's like, honey, again, like, so, okay, you're going to be CEO of some blah-de-blah dumb shit company. Who cares? And that company's going to go out of business probably before you die, or be, merge with another company. It's going to change its name. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to remember you or give a shit about anything you did for that company. Okay? Maybe if you were like the guy who headed the DuPont companies that that dumped all that toxic waste into the waterways, and it got into everybody's DNA and is now poisoned and infected basically all living things on the planet. That guy made an impact. I bet you that wasn't a woman, though. I'll bet you anything that wasn't a woman. That was a dude, right? But in general, most of you, like, oh, you're CEO of blah-de-blah company? Okay. Like, that's not going to matter. Probably not even by the end of your own lifetime. What will matter way more is if you had kids and did you raise them well? And like, will they go on to be tyrants, dictators, mass murderers, serial killers, or just jerk off assholes, that just are shit all over everybody they meet? Are they just going to, make the world a worse place? So again, like Amelia Earhart versus the mother of Adolf Hitler. The mother of Adolf Hitler clearly didn't do her job properly. She did not raise that dude properly. And because she didn't do her job as a mother properly, we had, it's just immeasurable the impact that woman had on society, on the future of our species. Yes, you can lay a lot of it at Adolf Hitler's feet, but at least a good chunk of it can be laid at the feet of the people who reared him or failed to rear him. You understand? It's not all his fault. He wasn't born. I guarantee you, even Adolf Hitler was not born an evil dictator tyrant. He was made that. So, and Amelia Earhart, bless her soul, did her own thing. And I feel like she did her own thing, but I don't think that she did it because she was trying to, make an impact on the world to prove to other women and girls, like, you can do it too. You don't have to be just pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen. You can go fly planes. You can go. I don't think she did it for that reason. I think she just did it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Amelia Earhart just flew planes because she wanted to fly planes. And she just said, to hell with all of you and what you think. I doubt very much she was thinking in the grand scale way, like, oh, I'm going to do this so that I can be a story that moms will tell their daughters, so that to inspire their daughters, to think big and dream big and want big things for themselves. I'm pretty sure she didn't do it for that reason. It just maybe worked out that way. It worked out. She's lucky that a life that she lived basically just pursuing something she wanted for herself got turned into an inspiring story. So now her life has some meaningfulness to it. But again, with time, that will fade and no one will remember Amelia Earhart. All it takes is one good, like, electromagnetic blast to the planet and all of our, Wikipedia will be gone. All of our digital archives, gone. A lot of the memory of Amelia Earhart and people like her will be gone. The only thing that will remain will be what will be in books, and hopefully those don't burn up, and or what's in our memories. And if we don't continue to pass the oral tradition down of the stories of these people, again, they will fade with time. But again, Amelia Earhart's counterparts, the other females of her generation that settled down and had children, they passed their DNA along. They passed the mitochondrial DNA along. Their children will go on to have an impact on the world. They will have children who will go on to have an impact on the world. I guarantee you, like, those mothers will have, if you measure it in the long run, those mothers who chose to have children rather than go around flying planes, they had a way bigger impact on the world than Amelia Earhart will ever have. They lived way more meaningful lives than Amelia Earhart ever lived. And I wish we could ask Amelia now. Like, I wish we could. Like, hey, Amelia, listen. And it's possible that Amelia was telling herself that one day when she got it out of her system, the whole flying thing, that she would settle down and have babies. And if you took her aside, if we were able to take her aside now, like, I don't know, reanimate her and be like, hey, listen, if you were given the choice, fly the planes or put that aside and you can have babies, and she might have chosen, you never know, but I bet you there's a good chance she would have chosen, like, yeah, you know what? I wish I could have just kind of settled down and had a family. I don't know for sure. I'm not saying I know any other person's mind or desires. I'm just saying that some desires are healthier than others. And you really can't argue with that because, again, there are serial killers out there who desire to, like, wear the skin of women. All right? Like, that's not healthy. So some desires are healthier than others, and that's just the way that is. And some ways of life are healthier than others. The way some people live their lives is not healthy compared to the way other people live their lives. That's not arguable. That's just the truth. That's just fact, dude. So, Little Miss, what's her name again? Melly Germany. Dude, yeah, I'll probably go through this. I'm going to make this point again. I'll probably go through this. Maybe. We'll see if I feel like it. And pick apart your little comment sentence by sentence, word for word, and answer it. You're making yourself look stupid. You might want to just stop commenting on my YouTube channel because you are making yourself look stupid. And by extension, you're kind of giving Germany a bad name because it's like, if this is what Germany is producing in terms of critical thinkers, then I don't wonder why they lost the last war. So, yeah, again, Amelia Earhart versus the mother of Adolf Hitler. And please feel free to come up with other examples. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll make another video. I'm going to come up with some other examples of women who didn't have any children, but made somewhat of an impact. Like they focused on their own thing, and made somewhat of an impact on the world, versus their counterparts, the other women who chose to just have some kids, have a family. And I can guarantee you, pretty much every single one of them, it's just going to be like, yeah, you maybe had somewhat of an impact, but it's going to be fleeting, and it won't have this. It doesn't have the same meaningfulness as a family, both in the short run and in the long run. And it certainly does not have the same kind of long-lasting impact on our species, on our planet, as women who had children, passed on their DNA, but also decided to raise those children properly so that they're functioning properly and they're not serial killers. All right, I'm going to stop prattling. But yeah, like, when are dumb people going to stop commenting on my channel? Just when? I'm just so sick of it. No, my friends are fully functional. And she says stuff like my friends. So a lot of my friends chose not to have families and they just focus on their careers and they're fully functional people. It's like, dude, you stalk me on my YouTube channel. So forgive me if I don't think that your idea of what's, fully functional and healthy is like very sound. I don't think you might not have a very good idea of what qualifies as a sound psychology, considering that you stalk me on my YouTube channel. and you've been stalking me on my YouTube channel only since I started coming out talking about a network of child traffickers, which again tells me that you either are paid by a network of child traffickers to harass me, or you're a member of the network of child traffickers. So again, I have to question whether or not you're very, you're a good gauge of what's psychologically, emotionally healthy and well balanced. Don't be coming on here and giving me examples of your life and your friends as being something to aspire to, because that's just stupidity on top of stupidity. All right, goodbye.